If you wonder why I'm not wearing a mask, it's because I'm vaccinated, just so thought I'd let you know, lest I cough in your direction. Today is a very special day because we are awarding saffron cloth to some of our monks. And we're going to talk about why that matters and what it might mean for you. We've got saffron cloth outside and a barber, and we're going to shave you all up and put you right on a conveyor belt. I'm joking, obviously. But it does mean something. And let me just get oriented here. We're getting there, don't worry. East meets west. You know, in the Vedic times, they had devices, all kinds of far-out things. But they worked on sound vibration. And they had a name. You know what their name was? Harsha Shoka. You know what Harsha Shoka means? That was the category. Harsha Shoka means they bring equal amounts of happiness and distress. So anyway, we'll hope today it's in a helpful mood. I'm going to offer a quick prayer to my spiritual master, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, just to hopefully I can represent him to the best of my ability. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminita Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paskachade Satarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And these are the two young men that are going to put on saffron cloth. So you better listen up. Make sure you meet the mark. No, they're very nice devotees. Well, what does it mean, putting on saffron cloth? Is it a fashion statement? Believe it or not, there's a color of the year. I don't know what it is this year, but it comes from Vogue magazine, and we have a. I know this because the very nice devotee who manages our gift shop, it's actually a boutique, it's a whole thing in Los Angeles, went to some big fashion school and this and that, then she designs all the clothing up there, and she's a very nice devotee. And she told me, there's a color of the year. Now last year was sea green, so I don't know what if, we're always in style. Saffron. Saffron, actually, what they called it peach, but it was the color of the year one year. So is putting on saffron cloth a fashion statement? Well, that's a possibility. Is it mean you've just put in so many years? I've been here living in the monastery, in the ashram, for the shoes. No worries, happens to the best of us. So is it just a number of years that you get, okay, for you mark X amount of time, you put on saffron, Is it a prestige thing, like stripes, like a sergeant, that you've got more, you're a captain, lieutenant, whatever it is, you get more stripes, so now everybody's got to, you're a Brahmachari, saffron cloth, I have to have all respects to you, you're a senior monk. So what does it mean? My teacher used to say that we should know what we're doing, you know. You just don't. How much time do we have? Remind me some other time to tell you the story about Sargal Singh. Well, I'll tell it quickly. There was a laundryman in India, a washerman, and he had a donkey. And anyone who's been, you know, developing world, you know, and especially you see in India and different, you know, they load everything on the donkey. So this donkey's name was Sargal Singh. And the donkey had, the laundryman, you know, he'd load up the donkey, and his wife had passed away, his kids had all moved. So, you know, his donkey, you know, a dog is a man's best friend. So the donkey was his best friend. And he would talk to the donkey and commiserate with all of his ups and downs of life, and the donkey would hee-haw back, and in this way, that, you know, life was going on. But time and tide wait for no one, and one day, Sargal Singh died. And the simple washerman, he was so struck by grief, in many cultures, and certainly in the Vedic culture, as an act of mourning, he shaved his head. So the next day, some of the king's soldiers showed up at the dhobi, or the laundrymen's, you know, to get their clothing. And they saw the washerman with a shaved head. So naturally they said, "Who died?" And he was such a simple person and grief-stricken, he said, "Sargal Singh has died." So he said it with such import that must be somebody big. So they all shaved their heads. They went back to the army barracks. All their buddies said, hey, who died? And, you know, you get the news first, you're a little proud. They said, hey, Sargal Singh has died. So, you know, they didn't want to, you know, be behind the curve, so all the soldiers shaved their head. They showed up on the parade ground. There's 150 men there. General shows up. They all salute. They all got shaved heads. General says, hey, what happened? They say in unison, "Sargal Singh has died." So it goes on like this, you know. They finally, you know, it goes to they're naming Sargal Singh Park, Sargal Singh Road, Sargal Singh, their National Day of mourning. And finally it goes to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister presents he's got a shaved head. And he's presenting, you know, they're going to declare Sargal Singh Mourning Day. So, king calls for the royal barber. They're just about to shave his head. And there's one saintly person. He says, "King, who's Sargal Singh?" And they went all the way back and found it was a donkey. So we do things, but why? We have, and I'm speaking to myself, of course, as well. We have value system. This is good. This is true. This is valuable. This is right. This is the goal of life. This is happiness. I have an itch and I scratch it. Oh, it's so happiness. No, it's just stimulus response. It's suffering and relief. But is that really happiness? So the point is, saffron cloth, what does it mean? We should know what it means. And don't worry, we'll get back to Sargal Singh. So, if one is actually, what do they say? And I'm trying to think of how to make it short. We have a choice. And that choice is, did all of this happen by chance? Or does it have a cause? It's called the either-or question. Well, if it happened by chance, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we will die. Live fast, leave a good corpse. Get all the gusto you can. You only go around once in life. I mean, it's all there in our culture. Okay, you know, just God has made this world for us to enjoy. Oh, forget it, we haven't gotten to God yet. Sorry about that. If it all happened by chance, okay, there it is. But if we're thoughtful, say, hang on a minute. There seems to be pattern, there seems to be order, there seems to be symmetry. Believe it or not, I was training to be a doctor before I became, this is a long time ago. And we were taking different biology courses. And one of the things we studied was the, believe it or not, the columns on Scripps Pier. You know Scripps Pier out here, the oceanography and all that stuff? Actually, it's a quite complicated system. This produces a byproduct that feeds this, that feeds... So that whole column's got all kinds of interrelated, interdependent food systems. And you change the temperature off the coast of, you know, Peru, half a degree, whatever it is, small, and eventually it'll the whole ecological systems all the way up the coast change. I mean, we live in a very balanced, and the more you study it, interdependent universe. I mean, study a cell. I mean, we don't want to go too far afield on this. But the point is, either it happened by chance, or there's a design, there's a purpose. And if we study things carefully, order, pattern, symmetry, design, I challenge anyone, you can catch me after the talk, to show me where there's pattern, symmetry, design, where there is not a design maker. Show me where there's order. You guys showed up. You could have done doing so many things today. You showed up. Suppose the door was locked, everything was all jumbled, and no devotees were around, and most importantly, there was no feast, no Krishna Prasad to take home. Well, wait a minute. Who's in charge here? When we see chaos, when we see, you know, well, it's a lack of intelligence. Where we see pattern, symmetry, order, design, there's intelligence behind it. That's our phenomena. I mean, that's our experience of this world. It's an amazing leap. Show me the seamless logic that everywhere we experience order, pattern, symmetry, design, there's intelligence behind it. But somehow or other, the most complicated, interdependent system, this cosmos, all of a sudden, that's the one system that there's no intelligence behind? Please share with me the seamless logic that makes that case. So our point is, either it happens by chance or it happens by design. If it happens by design, which is the logical conclusion, then what is the purpose? I mean, isn't that our... If it didn't happen by chance, it happened for a purpose, then... And if God made this world for us to enjoy, then why isn't it more enjoyable? This is the best he could come up with? I mean, you know, those of you that are young, but wait till you're 69 years old and hit by a motorcycle, you know. Your life, things look a little, you know. So my point is that the intelligent conclusion is that life has a purpose. Now, we're all moving at our own pace. We have our own level of realization. The Vedic literature says birds fly in the sky up to their ability. You know, you've got eagles that are flying, so I got little sparrows. So we all have our different levels of realization, commitments. We've all got our own thing going on. So we have different degrees of commitment for finding out the purpose of life and living accordingly. Fine. But saffron cloth means I'm determined. I'm making a serious commitment. If we accept, and all the great teachers throughout all the spiritual traditions, they all, just like there's no such thing as German math and Chinese math and French math. You know, 1 + 1 is 1. Oh, 1 + 1, sorry about that. 1 + 1 is 2. It's been a long day. You know, whatever. 2 × 2 is 4. Whatever, and you know, whatever it may be, those are axiomatic truths that are universally applicable. It's called dharma. You won't find the word religion in the Vedic literature. You'll find the word, we follow the Vedas, Bible, biblical, Quran, Quranic. We follow the Vedas, Vedic. And in the Vedic view of things, they use the word dharma, Sanatan Dharma, which means eternal principles of truth. That's what it actually means. That's the essence of religion. And you will find that the great acharyas, the great teachers, the great saints, they all, at the end of the day, are saying the same thing. Now, we don't have time to get in all of those. One, this body. We're not this body. We're the self. And help me remember, I want to talk about how we're not the mind, which is even more important. You think the body causes you trouble. You know, hot, cold, disease. The mind is what's really, you know, whipping us. Hankering, lamenting, anger, envy, greed, lust. You know, it's madness. All that. The mind. You can be in an idyllic situation, and if your mind is agitated, you're living in hell. And we can be living in the most distressful situation. And if we are spiritually conscious, we're beyond, we literally transcend it. The Vedas we're off the track, but it's okay. The Vedas give an example. You ever seen a ripe coconut? You know, just the brown nut? How do you know, Indian ladies will know, how do you know, because if you want to grate that coconut, you know, make some nice chutney or something, you know, so many nice things, nice sweet. How do you know if that coconut pulp inside is ripe? You shake it. All the ladies went like this. Because what will happen when you shake it? What will happen? It's independent. You'll hear it's pulled away from the husk. It means it's dried, and the pulp inside, you got the black shell. I'm not talking about green coconuts. I'm talking about when you got the brown shell, and you shake it, and it's pulled aside. It means it's ripe inside, you know? So, one who's pulled aside from this body, I'm the soul within. I am separate. I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. I'm not this ego. I mean, those are really wonderful things when we can see the world like that. People have, what are these, drive-by shootings? I mean, passion killings? I mean, it's amazing what the mind makes people do. And they think, I don't know, when people say, I don't know what I was thinking. Krishna says, what is it, from anger, from lust, from contemplation of the senses, attachment develops. From attachment comes lust. From frustration of lust comes anger. From anger comes bewilderment of memory, and one falls into the material world. Material activity. That's from Bhagavad Gita. So, in addition that we're not this body, we're not this mind, the great saints, the great acharyas, the great teachers from time immemorial, they have another message. This is not our real home. Where's a kid? I want to pick on a kid. Well, she's too sweet. I'm not going to pick on her. No, she's too itchy. I'll pick on you. I'll pick on you. If I put, and don't worry, if you get it wrong, we'll still be friends. If I put my hand out, and there's I told it. Why does the shadow of my hand have 5 fingers? Shadow has 5. Why? Because the original object has 5 fingers. The shadow is a reflection. If I looked at my shadow and there were 6 fingers, whoa, that would be a little unnerving. So the shadow is a reflection of the actual object. In this world, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, this world is a shadow reflection of the spiritual world, our real home. And the actual purpose of this world is to, is to learn our lessons and get out. Get out of this. You're going to lose your saffron cloth, you don't focus. See you later, Dimitri, we're talking. What is our real business? If it's a purpose-driven universe, if there is a cause, what is our real business? If there's a design. And the great saints, amongst the other things I've mentioned, they mentioned that this is not our real home. Our real home is the spiritual world, the spiritual dimension. And this world, that's where we're meant to go. There was a kid in my high school, Laguna Beach High. A football coach loved him. He was not the brightest bulb in the chandelier. But the guy was, he was 22 years old, driving a car to high school, and because he couldn't graduate, But he was on the football team. They loved him. But is that or in a hospital? I check into a hospital. Scripps. I'm up here at Scripps, or whatever it may be, and I'm having a great time. Motorized bed, free cable, I can check out what I want on the menu, pretty nurses. I'm having a great time. And then they walk in with a huge needle. It's time for your spinal tap, Swami. And oh, by the way, tomorrow you're going to have your, when in doubt, whack it out, basic American surgery. What? I came for the pretty nurses and the free cable. Hang on a minute. But is that the success that the doctors keep you in the hospital? Is that the successful hospital? No, you graduate. You get out. You cure the disease and get out to the real world. In college, you talk to freshmen, they're thinking, hey, free pizza, parents send money. What's not to love, By the time they get to high school, to seniors, they want to get out, isn't it? I want to get out into the real world. The purpose is to education from the Latin word means to draw forth as from darkness to light. That's the Latin root of the word education. It doesn't mean to accumulate a bunch of facts and figures. It means to draw forth as from darkness to light. That's the root word education. So suppose Buddha has his fire sermon, because I was talking about, Jesus says, I would have you hot or cold, lukewarm I spew from my mouth. I'd have you hot or cold, in or out. So saffron cloth, hey. Saffron cloth means we've made a commitment. I've made a commitment to be serious about spiritual life. I am getting out of this place. I'm getting free from my bodily concept. I'm going to get free from all my mental, ricocheting around the universe. And I'm going to become fixed in spiritual life. That's what it means when one puts on saffron cloth. Buddha has his fire sermon. The tongue is on fire, the ear is on fire, the eyes are on fire. Even with entropy, just the basic laws of friction, everything in this world is on fire. So if my house is on fire, may this never happen to you. Suppose, hey, why don't we open this? Just quietly, discreetly. Open this and then we can shut this. Because it's going to get louder out there and we need some fresh air. So if my house were to, we're almost done, don't worry. If my house were to catch on fire, and as I'm running from the bedroom upstairs, I'm running out the backyard, I go through the kitchen. Thanks, Balaramji. Do I stop and make a sandwich? Hey, hang on a minute. Hang on. Kitchen's on fire. I'm not going to be able to get back to that fridge. I'm going to make myself a sandwich. Anybody here going to stop and make a sandwich if your house is blazing on fire? You just want to get out. And if we understand that this world is on fire, this life is temporary, this body is temporary, there's my real home is the spiritual world, kingdom of God. Let me get out of this place, which is full of miseries caused by the mind and body, miseries caused by other living entities. You're minding your own business and your condo collapses on you. Forget worrying about the cable bill. There's other issues here. That's a profound tragedy. You're minding your own business. Wham! So this world, the Vedas say, padam yadvi padam natesham. At the Sanskrit, like tripod. So pod means foot. With every step there's danger in this world, do not stay. That's the Vedic injunction. So saffron cloth means that they've made that commitment, that they are serious about spiritual life. They're not stopping for a sandwich. Okay, there's more we could say, but I'm thinking of the time factor. I did want to read something. Is it okay? Where's Balaram? He's a kind person. He's a bona fide Brahmachari. There's the real deal in Saffron. These are just, why does it matter? What's it mean to me? Okay, those guys are putting on saffron cloth. They're serious about it. What's the news I can use in this thing? So Bhagavad Gita. I'm just going to give you the English because of the time. This is from the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is my spiritual master. One of the first things I heard him say is that every living entity wants to feel That's every living entity, all of us. Actually, it's every living entity. Why does a plant turn towards the sun? Put your finger down, why does the ant go the other way? So every living entity wants to feel the unfettered freedom of the soul. It's a great line. Unfettered freedom. That's what we're striving for. The unfettered freedom of the soul. And here's some ways that plays out. A person free from all attachments and aversion and able to control his senses through the regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. This sounds like an oxymoron, like military intelligence or marital bliss, sorry. Country music. So the regulative principles of freedom, regulation means to restrict, and freedom. But if one learns, if I have a chariot, Vedas give a great example. If there's a chariot, there's horses, there's reins, there's driver, there's passenger. If you don't remember anything else, walk home with this. There's picture a cowboy movie or whatever it is. There's a stagecoach. There's the horses. There's the reins. There's the driver. And there's the passenger. The Vedic analogy is the chariot is this body. The senses are like the horses. They're pulling us out in this world. The mind is like the reins. The mind takes all the raw data and puts it into menus. Here's what's happening, here's what's happening, here's what's happening, here's what's happening. The driver is the intelligence or false ego, or, wait a minute. Well, okay, according to who I think I am and what I think is good or valuable, I take the sensory input and the menus of the mind, and I click on one. I make a choice. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And the passenger is our real self, the soul. Now, what happens? We've all seen enough cowboy movies or seen enough, Mahabharata. If the horses are out of control, what is the nature of the stagecoach and the passenger? To stress, oh, help me, help me, help me, But that's what it's talking about here. If we learn to control the mind, if we learn to control the senses, then real freedom begins. I'll just read a few more of these. In the stage of perfection, called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by the practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and relish and rejoice in the self. That's the payoff. That's the reason it's worth all this stuff. In that joyous state, one is situated, these are all different verses from Bhagavad Gita. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from truth, and upon gaining this, they think there is no greater gain. I'm just going to read two more because they're worth it. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This is indeed actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. People think if I just stack up enough stuff, that's going to make me happy and free. If I just get enough money, if I just get out of New York City, I got to get a good doctor, and plenty of, whatever. There was a guy over here. Wait, I don't want to take too much time. So the point is that no. That never works. There's never enough. Krishna says in the Gita, again, that material cravings, desire, kama or lust, burns like fire and is never satisfied. If I put more fuel on the fire, does the fire burp, say, oh, thank you very much, and go out? What happens? The more you put on it, the bigger the fire gets. The more we try to titillate these senses and fill it full of stuff, and it just gets, the fire of lust gets bigger. So, one last verse. This is Krishna speaking. And, of course, I'm not laying this all on these young men. But it's why the effort for serious spiritual life is worth it. We all want a payoff. We're not masochistic or, whatever. Why am I doing it? That's intelligent. Don't be Sargal Singh. So, Krishna said, This is the result. This is the fruit of someone who actually becomes fixed in deep spiritual consciousness. Fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, nonviolence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and the passion for honor. These are the transcendental qualities belonging to those endowed with divine nature. I don't know about you, but sign me up. That's how I want to live this life. And it's open to all of us. That's what human form of life is meant for. We are not meant for small potatoes, chasing after whatever ephemeral, This is what human form of life is meant to. And we'll end here, but we should congratulate these young men that are making a serious vow to put on saffron cloth. They have it works both ways. You know the word reciprocal? My guru used to say reciprocal. In a nice way of saying things sometimes. But it's a two-way street. We have a duty to encourage them, all of you, to encourage them, to help them. I don't want to embarrass anybody by praise. But, we've got our young monks who live here. We have some members of our congregation who put their shoulders to the wheel, completely renovated the Brahmachari ashram, made it really nice, not opulent with a jacuzzi in every room, but clean, neat, comfortable. They have a nice library. They're fixing up the front now. So there's a reciprocal relationship that they take care of the brahmacharis. I was in Burma, and the truck goes by. I saw these trucks going by every now and everybody's laughing, and they're loaded full of stuff, and everybody's banging on gongs. And I thought, well, it must be a wedding. They said, no. What happens is different villages, they save all year long. And then at the end of the year, they buy bags of rice and cooking pots and blankets, and they take it to the local ashram, whatever their local temple is, and they take care of the monks. I said, man, that is sweet. And then, so we have a duty to take care of these young men, encourage them, make sure they've got what they need, and encourage them and set a good example. Now, they also have an obligation. It's reciprocal or reciprocal. Their job is to be the real deal. Practice these things, aim towards these things, and they share their lessons, their examples, they render service, and in this way, this is human society. That you've got those who are living, householders, jobs, so many responsibilities. They support the monks, and the monks encourage, set an example, offer nice teachings, commiserate in times of misery, because there's always a rock in the shoe as you walk down the path of life. So please bless them that they'll become nice. Don't get puffed up. Don't get proud. And they'll be nice, saffron cloth brahmacharis. Okay, we'll end there. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Now we give them what happens now, Balaram.
Okay, so we'd like to thank Badrinarayan Swami for giving the class. So what we'll do now is we'll just have Badrinarayan Swami, he'll just hand them their cloth, so Glenn could come up and get.
Different sizes?
They're both saffrons. I think it's okay. So Glenn.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
So Glenn could come up and get his cloth.
When they take a cloth, give them a nice round of applause.
Who's got a drum? We need a drummer to hit the drum.
They're also going to be initiated.
Oh. Yes, also Bhakti Glenn here will be initiated. He'll accept initiation by Badrinarayan Swami. And Alex and Mike, there'll be a few devotees. It's August 1st. So initiation is the time where the student formally accepts a teacher, and it's a very wonderful ceremony. So that's August 1st, so please come for that. So next we have Alex. You come up. All right. So I guess they could change, and you could take one more look at them in white. And they'll be wearing saffron now. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody for attending. We have some nice packed boxes of dinner here for you on the patio, so please make sure you get that before you go. I think that's it. Okay. Hare Krishna.